In today's video, I share with you the secrets I have learned from staying in RV parks. Today, I share with you how to position the rig in your campsite, dealing with the utilities, that'd be water, sewer, and electric, temperature control, Wi-Fi, how to save a few bucks, and I got a really important tip for you at the very end, so stay all the way to the end. Let's get into it. Welcome. Appreciate you tuning in today. My name is Scott. I'm your host. Welcome to Go Small, Live Large. We are a YouTube channel dedicated to the RV lifestyle, in particular the Class B, that would be a van, RV lifestyle. Late 2018, I went part-time, and in February 2019, I went full-time in my Winnebago Travato GL. G is the floor plan, L is for lithium, a Volta lithium-ion equipped rig, and 30 states, some 50,000 miles now. I've learned a lot, and that's what we do here, is we learn collectively, we share with you, you decide what makes best sense for you. I want to share with you today my secrets of staying at an RV park to maximize your stay. Let's get into some of the details. All right, basically there's two types of sites in an RV park. There is the back in, which is what this is here, and there is what's called a pull through, which are these types over here. So you drive in forward, and then you kind of turn and drive out the same way. What I've found is these typically run 50 to 100 bucks a night, and it's usually for the big guys or the big trailers, right? So that's a big towable there. You can see that big fifth wheel, and these are the Class A buses. So this campsite, this KOA, these are actually $75 a night. Not real cool on the amenities. They do have a flower pot, a picnic table, and a slab, which is nice, but I've seen others in much better pull-throughs for the big rigs, some of the other KOAs in particular. What I want to focus on is these right here. So again, this is the back end, and there's a couple flavors of these typically, where a Class C can back in. And the idea here is that your rear end of the rig is this way. You can see the utility pole, and then you're facing out this way. Well, that's okay, I guess, but there's a couple problems with that. Let me show you Lily, and let's walk through why I'm parked like this. So what we want to do is talk about Lily here. So let me just give you a little insight onto this. So again, these are what are called back-end sites, and typically the back of the rig would be here. Clearly, I am not doing that. The question might be why? Now, some RV parks are really militant about if it's a back-end, they want you backed in. I've had some words with some others, and I've actually reduced my stay, because if the RV experience is better for me with my rig turned around this way, what difference does it make if I'm not harming anybody? These guys are cool with it. So if I had backed in, this would be my view. That would be the butt end of a bunch of Class A motorhomes. Not very inspiring. So what I did is, by pulling in instead of backing in, I have this nice view of the shrubbery, which means I don't have to put up my night shade to block the view for privacy, and because I don't want to look at the butt ends of a bunch of Class A motorhomes, right? So that's tip number one. If you pull in, check your view. Is it better? Now you might ask yourself, Scott, why don't you move to this site in case this site gets rented? And that's a great idea, great question, because if I was here, my cab would be facing this, and all the headlights going all night long would drive me crazy, and I don't want to put my screen up, so this is actually a better choice. And these are only 20 amp circuits here, so the choice, or the possibility of them selling out all of these sites is probably pretty small. So again, back in or pull in, I prefer to have a bit of a view. I prefer to have a little bit of a privacy. That's reason number one. Reason number two, look at that view. What would you rather look out the side of your van slider door, right? RVs or the mountains? I prefer mountains. So what I did, again, if I was parked the other direction, I couldn't do that. I'd be looking at the RV park. I don't want that. I want to look at what little bit of a nature view I do have here. So I open up the slider door, and that is now my view, unless this spot gets rented, in which case this changes this whole story, right? But I don't think that's going to happen. It's Sunday. The next thing that's important is this. Having the awning out, shading at least half of the vehicle for a good portion of the day is a tremendous way to manage your temperature. So if I was oriented the other way, I would get the evening sun, not the afternoon sun, which is what we're getting right now. So you can see that the rig is really nicely shaded, and that is just a great way to go. So not only do I have the nice view of the mountains, by the way, that's the Continental Divide you're looking at. Somebody could explain that to me, that'd be great. Sounds cool though, right? And it keeps the rig shaded. So there we go for that. And speaking of temperature control inside the rig, look at this. What is good about this picture? That would be no sun inside the cab. If I was pointed the other direction, this would be filled full of sunlight. I'd have to have my screen up on both sides probably, and it would be at least 10 degrees warmer in here. And this is very comfy. Even Luke thinks it's pretty comfy for a Sunday snooze. Right, Luke? You're the luckiest cat in the world, or what? Big tip, keep your cab out of the sunlight. I think I'll take advantage of the shade myself. So the pull-throughs are usually pretty expensive, 50 to 100 bucks a night. The back ends are 25, well, really 35 anymore, to 50 bucks a night. This particular site is $43. And then there's the amperage on the pole that also determines, where is it? That also determines the price. So let's talk about that. Okay, so looking at the pull-through site, we can see that the utilities, which is the sewer, water, power, is very directional. So if you'd come in this way and you were, opposite of what this guy's done, and your utilities on your rig itself were over here, you'd be in a bad spot. You'd have to turn around. So the Class Bs are a little more nimble, and that's why, in this case in particular, they actually have the utilities at the back of the site, which is a little unusual. Normally the utilities are very much off to one side. And again, imagine this rig turned around this way. All my utility ports would be on this side. In this case, they're not, right? So what I have to do is actually take my cord and run it around the rig like this. Now I could plug into this guy, but I don't want him having any issues with me, so I just do this. So the thing here is, if you're pulling into a back-end site, what you're probably gonna have to do is either do this, which is I run my cable around the rig and I plug in there, or I throw it under the rig so it comes out from that side to this side, and the same effect happens, because this is, I think, a 30-foot cable. It's not very long. And so that is how I would achieve that. Now here's something you're gonna wanna add to your electrical adapter kit, and this is a 30 amp here, and I'm actually plugged into 20 amp electrical. So unless I have a particular adapter, this would not be a good setup. I'd have to get out my big old extension cord, and just as more clutter. This is something I came upon by accident, and it's worked out really well. And it gives me another 16, 18 inches here, which is just perfect to make this not tight on any one connection point. So I'll put a link down below in the show notes, and to where you can get these. You can get this off my website through my Amazon store. It's really, I've used it a few times now, and it's really convenient. It just, again, it allows me to not have to get the big extension cord out to achieve the same effect. So I would very much add this to your electrical adapter kit. So let's talk water and waste. You can see the waste, or the water tank fill here. We've talked about this a number of times. This is a Winnebago Travato 2019 G floor plan. So the top button here is to fill the tank, and this is for city in water. And the best practice from all Class B RVers is to use the tank fill. And what I've done is I rolled out of my location last time with a full tank of fresh water and empty tanks here, which means I don't have to deal with the water until I leave here. So my point being is, when you roll in, you don't have to connect everything unless you need to. Just leave it unconnected, just connect electricity. And in fact, if I was rolling out of here this morning, I wouldn't even bother with the electricity. I'd be using my Volta lithium-ion system for overnight, and it was really chilly here last night, so it's just using AC during the day is what is the case for the plug-in here. So again, on water, my recommendation is, unless you need it immediately to fill up, is don't plug everything in, because you're probably going to want to get here, and then the next morning or even that evening, go buzz around. And if you have everything connected up, it's going to be a hassle for you. So just don't connect things unless you need to, and always use the tank fill for your fresh water. In this case, speaking about water, there is no sewer services at the campsite. but there is water. So what I will probably do is actually use this guy's water when I roll out of here in a couple of days, and that's going to be just fine. But I fill when I leave, and I empty when I leave. I'm actually filling the waste tanks as I'm using my rig here at the RV park. And then there's a dump station just around the corner here that will empty those tanks on my way out of here. So how are we doing with the RV secrets? Learn anything yet? If you are, sure to appreciate a thumb up. You know how this works. The thumb up helps me know you liked it, helps YouTube know you liked it, and helps others find it because YouTube makes recommendations. So if you're getting something out of it, even one thing, sure would appreciate a thumb up. Now some of you are really smart on this kind of stuff. I wouldn't have picked this up, so I'm going to call it out specifically because you can see I'm clearly plugged into a standard, it's calling it a 20 amp circuit. Most households are 15 amps. There's not even a GFI breaker on this particular unit. So if I had plugged this in and was trying to ingest 30 amps, what's going to happen is it's going to trip a breaker someplace in the garage facility or something like that and really get the staff upset because they say that this is not a 30 amp and this is not meant to run AC air conditioners, RV air conditioners. So I'm kind of gaming the system here a little bit. Not necessarily on purpose. This is what was available last night when I was making the reservation. So how do we fix this problem so we don't trip breakers? Well, we've done a video about that. And let me just give you a really fast overview. Again, I have a Volta lithium-ion equipped system, as you know, and we're at 100% state of charge. And why is that? Because we're plugged in. Now this morning before I did this, I was at 80%. And the way we do this, I'm going to turn this on so you guys can see it. So disabled by jumper means it's being charged by shore power. I'm going to hit it again and it's going to say idle, which means it's actually fully charged and just the inverter is on, so nothing, you can't really see that, sorry guys. So nothing else is really going on. But you can clearly see I have power because the microwave is running. But what I've done is I've actually made the Volta system ingest less amps. So I moved it from ingesting 30 amps down to ingesting 10 amps so it doesn't trip a breaker. And the way this is going to work is if it gets too hot in here, I'm going to turn the AC on, use the inverter, and it's going to start drawing power from the lithium-ion energy pack where the amp ingest can't maybe just keep up with it. But my expectation would start reducing the state of charge a little bit. And then when it gets cooler tonight, I'll turn the AC off and the battery will replenish, the lithium-ion energy system will replenish off of shore power at ingesting 10 amps. It sounds complicated, I know. We'll do some more videos on this in the future, but what I've done is essentially just charge from 80% down up to 100%. And so I have a full charge for running the AC, and we might even test that a little bit later today just to see what happens. But what this, again, is allowing me to do is plug into 110 outlet in a 15, 20 amp scenario and not trip a breaker because I've adjusted what is being ingested by the Volta system. Hopefully that makes sense. We're going to get better explaining this because it sounds a little overwhelming, but it's actually not. I'm trying to cram a lot into here, guys, so stay with me. Okay, next topic. So what I want to point out here is that when I get to a campsite, I unload the important things out of here, which is the grill. And I also have an inexpensive tablecloth because most of these tables are pretty nasty. So I set up my tablecloth, I set up my grill, and you probably know this if you've seen any of my videos. I store my propane, my regulator, all goes right inside of here. I can get 2 cans of propane in here. And now I'm set up for a nice place to work when the sun goes down a little bit. So that's a secret, is to unload your vehicles to those with those items you don't need necessarily, just to free up more space inside and to give your campsite a little bit of a lived-in feel. Many of you have asked, how do you maintain a campsite when you're actually not there? If I'm going downtown Butte, this helps identify that there's a residence in this site. I don't lock it down. There's nothing to really steal. I would coil my cords to make it look neat and tidy, but this gives the very much an announcement that, hey, somebody is residing in this spot. Don't bother the stuff. And RVers are really good about this anyway. Now there is a kind of a main street right here, which makes it a little suspect, but who wants a used propane grill, right? Next topic is temperature control. Clearly you can see I have the awning fully extended here, and now let's get out of the sun just to give you the sense of what this again looks like. Is it is blocking the sun from the entire 2/3 of the rig, which makes a giant difference in keeping the rig cool. Fortunately, there's very little bug, so I can have everything open. So the slider's open, the dinette window's open, the bedroom window's open, even the cab windows are open. And there's just enough, oh, well, hello, Luke. Yes, sir. So Luke's always leashed when everything's open, just so he doesn't scamper off. The other thing I do is I open up the back door. Cannot tell you what a difference it makes to have this back door open and get a breeze going through. Just one is plenty. So I have a little bit of privacy still. And while it looks kind of weird from the outside, it generates usually some questions. Hey, look, I'm making rice. And that's what it looks like from the outside. And again, this is fine. I'm keeping my bike racked versus unracking it and putting it there with the grills because I'm going to be downtown Butte later today and I'm going to go buzz around on my bike. So this is what it looks like from the outside. Again, got the windows open. There's a gentle breeze. Let's go check the temperature quick. And I've been kind of experimenting. How much temperature can I tolerate? And you saw there's no trees around, so I'm in zero shade from nature. So it's currently 80 degrees in here. Hey Siri, what's the temperature outside?
It's about 75 degrees outside.
So it's 75 degrees outside, it's 80 in here. My guess is this is going to go to about 85, but with the breezes blowing through, I think we're going to be okay in here. If it gets really hot, we're going to turn the AC on. But I'm just kind of experimenting with how much heat can I and Luke tolerate before it becomes really uncomfortable. So far, so good. It's supposed to be 90 here today, so we've got a few degrees to go. You see this big thing right there? What do you think that is? That is one of the 3 Wi-Fi antennas in the RV park. And you can see that I'm really close, right? Well, guess what? As usual, last night I came in to get all excited about their Wi-Fi. They're pretty proud of it. They only allow you one device to connect to their Wi-Fi network unless you pay extra per device, $5 per day. I'm like, this better be some amazing Wi-Fi. I was super excited, only to learn, as usual, it didn't connect, it didn't work. And here's my tip for us digital nomads, and anybody really wanting to stay connected. You know, Wi-Fi is just incredibly important. And these, you know, I'm not bashing on these guys in particular, but RV parks in general just love to talk about their Wi-Fi, right? And I gotta tell you, it's in most cases 9 out of 10 times absolutely useless. So I've been changing my attitude on this, and I'm being more vocal and I'm trying to be more helpful. So because I couldn't connect last night, and they give you this little code here, it's for one device, and they say, hey, all questions, direct them to the, in this case, Access Parks is who's managing, running, operating, troubleshooting the Wi-Fi. So what I did is, rather than get mad, I called them. Saturday night, 8 o'clock at night, the nice gentleman sort of couldn't figure it out, so he escalated it. I got a call this morning, and we figured out that that entire tower was down because the power to the tower is in the same utility cabinet as the RV electrical connection. What had happened is, you know, the camper turned the Wi-Fi antenna off on that tower. And so I was picking up a signal from literally across the park, and I actually helped troubleshoot that with the gentleman. And I brought up my speed app. You guys know about that, right? And if you haven't, we've done a video about that, so please check that out. But I literally walked over there. He goes, well, he's so funny. He's like, I'm going to have to call a service technician to come make sure the power's turned on the tower. I'm like, dude, I'm 100 feet away. What can I do for you? And it's like, well, why don't you go over to the access panel? Because a lot of times the RVers turn it off by accident. It should be locked, and in this case, it wasn't. And that's exactly what had happened. Is that the RVer last night had turned the circuit breaker off for the Wi-Fi tower. So, point being is that I no longer get mad. I try to be part of the solution by calling their tech support and troubleshooting it with them. And he was really nice, and now I've got pretty good speed here with the KOA Wi-Fi network, which is amazing because I'm here for a few days. And I'd much rather manage that resource that's coming from their tower versus my jetpack that's consuming my dollars. And he was really helpful. The other thing is, I always vocalize to the staff what the status of the Wi-Fi is, the speed. I physically show them because I want them to understand how important it is. What's the point of saying, hey, we've got Wi-Fi if it's useless? I would actually much rather have them say, no free Wi-Fi. If you want Wi-Fi, it's X dollars a day, and give me really good Wi-Fi to help offset the expense. I know that stuff's expensive, but I think if we collectively start shouting and screaming and being part of the solution, we'll get better RV Wi-Fi in pretty short order, and really commend those that are doing the job correctly. So that's my status on the Wi-Fi and an RV park secret. Use it, help troubleshoot it, vocalize about it, use their stuff as plan B. Always have your plan A, which is your other alternate Wi-Fi source. Jumping outside, you can see that all the RVs this morning are kind of gone. But what I did last night, for those that were out and about, walking dogs, grilling, is I actively said hello to each one of them. And there's this group over here. I'm going to say hello to them when I'm done with you guys. But my tip when you're in an RV park or a campsite is to meet your neighbors. No different than your terrestrial house. These are your neighbors. They could help spot a problem. They could help correct a problem. Why wouldn't you want to live or know your neighbors that are literally, what is that, 10 feet apart? I mean, it just makes good sense, right? And meet the staff. So in RV parks are always buzzing around in these golf carts. Say hi, meet them, call them by name. What are your duties here? Any recommendations for RVers? That's how I learned about cleaning my black tank with ice from the KOA team at Arlington, Texas. I would not have known that tip had I not befriended them and saw them as a resource to better my RV experience. And by doing that, I shared that with you, and I have now used that trick twice, cleaning my black tank with ice. It works like magic by just being a good human being. Meet your neighbors, meet the staff, tell them they have a great park, tell them they have great showers, tell them they have great Wi-Fi, and even mention you even help troubleshoot that. And what it will do is help them prevent being turkeys and say, nah, it's a back-in site, you need to back in, not pull in. I think if we're just nicer to each other, we get a better human experience, certainly a better RVing experience. So meet your neighbors, meet the staff. So my final RV park secret is to save a few bucks. Who doesn't like to save a few bucks? And RV parks just seem to be getting more and more expensive. Rarely do I stay in one that's less than $40. Some of them have been crazy expensive, like $100 a night. My budget's $50 or less. If I can get in for 25, 35 is a sweet spot. 40 is pretty typical. The tip is to use discount programs. So I like KOAs a lot. They have a value card reward program, and not only do I get, I think it's 10% off each of my reservations. You build points, and those points can be used for stays. And I have now probably close to 60,000 points, I think it is, that I can apply toward nights of stay. Good Sam has discount memberships. There's Passport America, that's a pretty good discount program. It's very seasonal, so you need to really check that one out. We did an interview with those folks a long time ago. I'll put that video down below, but check out that program. It's a paid discount program, but it's usually 50% off on their RV sites. And I've stayed at some amazing places using Passport America. Use KOAs, get their value club card, and be a Good Sam member. If you buy anything from Camping World, they're going to recommend you become a Good Sam member. It's not terribly expensive. You get discounts off of their stuff, and a lot of the RV parks give you discounts there. So use those tips to save a few bucks. I think you'll like that. I sure do. And my bonus tip for RV parks is use their facilities. Look at this gorgeous tree. That thing is spectacular. It looks like it's an old burr oak. Look at that. That's so great. And here's a table. So technically this is a tent site, clearly not occupied by anybody. And because I've made friends with the staff, when I bring my laptop over here to edit this video, I'm going to do it on this table in the shade with my AirPods in, listen to some music, and bring in a cold beverage over here. They're just going to wave back, and they know who I am. So having me sit here is not going to be a problem. Same with their showers. You'll want to take your shower bag in. We're going to cut from here to talk about that. All right, let me show you the facilities here. So they have two doors. It's supposed to be locked or not, which is kind of okay. And then there's two fully self-contained units here. So I'm going to use this one. So toilet, sink, and shower, which is pretty nice. And you lock the door, right? And so again, what I do is I do my teeth cleaning, flossing in my rig. So I'm not using this to do hygienic stuff like that. I'll probably use this, I guess, because it's here, and we're definitely gonna take a shower. But this is actually a pretty nice setup. Pretty good shape cleanliness-wise. There's a little shelf for your bag. Goes like that. Private, this is really great. So thumbs up, KOA. One of my earliest videos was to have a shower house bag fully equipped with everything you need to take care of business. Maybe even including a roll of toilet paper, because these guys are just about out of toilet tissue. Be sure and have shower shoes, as I call them. These are waterproof, really well-made flip-flops that you shower in here, so your feet never touch the floor. They go on the side here, and then these are the regular flip-flops. I'm actually gonna wear cowboy boots today again. But if you haven't seen that video, I really haven't changed anything from that from my very first few trips. Your shower house bag. So yeah, wear your shower shoes. You're paying for these facilities, so you might as well use them, right? And in this case, this is the only shady spot, and it's very pleasant in here from a temperature perspective. They've got a pool going on here with some kids running around, which is great. So just use their facilities as they would expect you to do, because you're paying for it as part of the price, right? And change up the scenery a little bit. Hope you enjoyed that video. I sure had a lot of fun making it. If you got something out of it, again, you know the drill. Please give it a thumb up. That helps me know you like it, helps others find it, helps YouTube know you liked it. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please consider doing so. We're coming in on 10,000 subscribers. That's a big number. And it would just be a real honor for me to have you part of this audience and part of this channel's success. We don't spam you. You get notified when there's a new video posted, which is about once a week. And it just helps, again, YouTube, you know that you like it, helps others find it. So it'd be an honor to have you as a subscriber. And comment below. I'm very curious. Where would you want to take your RV to for the first time, your first trip out? And maybe where are you watching from? We got so many international people, Australia. It's crazy. So where are you watching from? Let me know about that. And you probably have RV park secrets yourselves. Let's learn, share, you decide what works for you. So please, if you have one, or if you think one of mine are stupid, it's okay. You can tell me about that too. So with that, we thank you again, and we'll see you soon. So what makes this one cool is they have craft beer and wine. That's kind of atypical. Nice wine selection, some huckleberry stuff. The usual stuff for the kids and whatever, right? But look at this. Craft beer, $2.50, not too shabby for just being right here. I'm gonna get one of these. Black Butte Porter, I like porter. Really nice. Some merchandise for the kids. Fun stuff. Coffee bar. Not very much RV selection for if you run into a problem, but really cool store, right?
You guys are here till Wednesday.
Look at the size of their washer and dryer facility. It's huge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 washers. 4 dryers, 6 dryers, and a toilet in the washer room. That's pretty cool. $2, pretty typical. All right, you stuck around this long, you deserve the answer. How could we make it in the heat? We made it to 92.6 degrees. It was getting pretty warm in here, even with everything open. I think actually if I would pivot that rig around and have the awning on that side, I could block some of the sun. The problem, the cab would be in the sunlight, so it would be a negative all the way around. So at 92 point, oh, we've already gone down to 0.3. 92.3 degrees, we've turned the AC on, and when I want an Arctic blast, I run that at full power, and I also run the engine chassis at full power. And that cools the front really fast, it cools the back really fast. And yet another tip for you guys for hanging in there. Long video. Wow. Lots to cover. Thanks for hanging in there with me. See you later.